Hello and welcome to Life After 3D episode whatever, I can't remember. I was sitting downstairs editing a song and I suddenly remembered, oh, it's Tuesday, you didn't do one last Tuesday, let's do a video. So yeah, it's episode whatever. I thought it was quite an interesting one to do this one, what I've been up to since the last video. If you see me looking down, it's because I have a list down there, right, so I don't forget things. So what have I done over the last sort of week? I haven't got around to doing any of the training materials I was on about the videos yet, because there was a few things that sort of took up a lot of my time. One, the fact that there was the insane heat over here in England. I know on a week today it hit 38 degrees outside, which wasn't good for my asthma. I went outside and I could hardly breathe, and I came back in the house. So I spent the entire day with the curtains closed with a huge fan the size of a jet engine on me. So that's what I did. So that sort of ate into a lot of the time. I did, as the people who run my local bar that I go to a lot, the Turf in Concert, were leaving, there was a couple of things I wanted to do. One was, there's another reason apart from the obvious one. I made an 11-page comic about the Turf and the people in it and what it basically signifies to people who get in there regularly, that it's a sort of a family, highly dysfunctional family, but a family nonetheless. So I made this into a full comic. Now, the other reason was to prove to myself that I could, in theory, produce an entire comic just with my artwork in it, in a timely manner, which I managed to do. I might at some point put just a short motion video of the pains in it, unless I can be asked to put them in here. But it was basically for them, so they could take away and give them some good memories. We also, myself and Gypsy Dave Smith, not last night, but a week, not Monday, it's Tuesday now, hopefully I get this up today. Not Monday gone, but the Monday before that, as that was Steve and Juliet Hall's last night being in charge of the Turf, me and Dave decided that we would record a video of it. We recorded about an hour and 10 minutes, and I think the video that I put up, which is the last video I put up before this one, came to about 55, 56 minutes in that. By the time you got rid of some of the chatting and stuff like that, you know what I mean? That was filmed on two 4K cameras, including the Zoom, a cheap sort of camcorder effort, which ironically had better video than the Zoom. Zoom better up the game. And I had no less than 3 audio sources. This all had to be synced. Now the Zoom, it was quite noisy, even at 4K. So I ended up having to use a denoiser in DaVinci Resolve. This brought the frame rate down to 1 frame a second, which made editing a bit of a pain. So I had to edit using the sound wave and where I wanted the cameras to cut and hope I got it right. It took about 10, 20 hours to encode, but I got it right. So, yeah. Now, I know a lot of you will have either bypassed that video or will not have the mental staying power to watch an entire hour of video, no matter how good it is. But give it a bit of a watch. I actually went to the trouble of putting chapters in it so that you can skip the bits you want, So yeah, that was the reason. Another reason behind that was that if Steve and Juliet Hall hadn't taken over the Turf 8 years ago, then Gypsy Dave Smith wouldn't have started playing there, because he'd been friends with Juliet since 1986, and Dave's originally from Australia. That would have meant that I wouldn't have met him. I wouldn't have picked up the mandolin because it was the only light instrument in the house, and I couldn't be asked to carry a heavy one up the road, and I wouldn't have started playing that. So they're directly responsible for that. And also, we've been on about for 4 years as a record of that moment in time of how far everything came. And it's sounding pretty good. I had to have some blood tests a couple of weeks ago because reasons. My quality of life on a pain point of view has been pretty shit for the last few years. And it just got to the point where I'm just going to go with the doggers. So they did some blood tests. I don't know what's happened apart from the fact they've turned out abnormal. I don't know why they're abnormal or what. I've looked up on the sort of medical history thing and it puts up the results, right? So I know what some of the things are, what's too high, what's too low, and stuff like this. But I'm not going to see on camera, obviously, because I don't want the armchair detectives to suddenly decide that, I've got Chinese knob rot or something, right? I don't know what it is. I don't find out till the 10th. So I'm just putting that to one side for the moment. I did manage to damage my left foot, a couple of nights ago. It's why I'm standing sort of on one leg at the moment with most of my weight on this side. And what happens is, because the arthritis in my feet, a lot of the metatarsals and stuff are all locked together, right? So my feet, both my feet, but the left one especially, is not very flexible. And they sort of like join together like that, but not end to end. It's just little tiny bits of extra growth. And what happens, this happens every now and again, I'll move my foot at the wrong angle or whatever, just by a millimetre, and there'll be a very loud crack, a shit pile of pain, and I can hardly walk on it for a few days. And there's lots of painkillers and stuff like that. So if I seem slightly zoned out today, that's why I'm painkillers into orbit. Just so I can stand here. It'll heal itself, nothing to worry about. There's no point going getting an x-ray. It's not like they can do much, I did stay in on Saturday night because my wife had to go to the hospital early on Sunday. And let's face it, if I went out on the Saturday night, there was no chance of me getting up at 8 AM on a Sunday. So I thought, I'll dye the beard. Dye it blue over the top of purple, which I've done a fair few times. It is a bit risky because when you're putting a dye on top of another dye, it's not an exact science. You don't know how much dye is currently there, and depends how much you put on when you did it. So most times it works fine. This time, however, it looked bloody terrible. So when my wife was at the hospital and there was about an hour sort of weird, I went to go the dye stripping. Now I'm allergic to bleach, so I can't use the bleach with this one. So what you see now, this is not dye, right? This is after putting the dye stripper onto my beard, right? This is the colour my hair is at the moment after all the dyes. So it's currently like a baby blue colour. And I'm going to leave it until probably the weekend before I put any more dye on it, because otherwise the hair can get damaged. But yeah, so it's the eventful life of Wayne. He's 51 and a half. But obviously my daughter's off school now for 6 weeks, for the 6 week summer holidays. That does slow down some stuff getting done, because obviously you've got to take her out for the day and do stuff with her. She's very well behaved, so it doesn't overly impact on the work side. I just try not to work all the way through the summer holidays. However, if something is going to go wrong in the Robson family, it is always this time every year. We've had my dad in hospital about 3 years out of 5. My mother in hospital once. I was really ill another year. It's just a massive, line of stuff. So the fact that I'm sort of on 10 weeks more waiting for something to go wrong. But we'll see. So, I do have a list of the things I want to do tutorials on. On the news front, apparently MPC have elected not to give a pay rise to their workers, which means effectively that means a pay decrease in real terms. Animal Logic have been bought out by Netflix and shit, you know what I mean? It's like more the same, really, isn't it? Lots of people have been complaining about the fact that hours are getting longer, especially in visual effects. I know a lot of people won't work on a Marvel or Disney film because it always means insane hours, and they're not getting anything extra for it. So I can see the point. I do think, as hard as it is at the moment with having next to no income, that I've moved out of the visual effects side and with the professional side of 3D at probably the right time, because we've got AIs doing art. Only a matter of time until somebody starts feeding the AI art into a nice little meshing algorithm, and boom, And that means there's lots of things that artists do. It currently might be cleaning up scans. Then that might not be needed in another few years' time. I would say 5 years' time, but the rate it's going, that could be possible next week. I really don't know. But what it means is, see, people lose track of this one important thing. Being an artist, a digital artist, it's not about the software and the ability to use it. That is only a tool to get what's up there, down there. You can't act as a gatekeeper and say, well, the man in the street shouldn't have access to this sort of thing because it's putting me out of a job. Tough, bucko. That's the way it works. Some people have really good ideas, but not the ability to get it down. This opens it up. I'm going to try and say this word that I'm going to trip over, but it democratizes everything, right? So you've got to find new ways of making an income. The same people that are going at me, well, it's your own bloody fault, Robson, for not saving any money, are the same ones that will be whinging. Another thing I have noticed over the last couple of weeks is I have this plugin that I run that gets rid of all the ads on Facebook, right? One of the side effects is if every time somebody unfollows you or blocks you, it tells you, right? And I've noticed there's quite a few, well, I've seen quite a few, but there's been a few people that I've had on my friends list, known in 3D for years, have suddenly unfollowed me. I think they were assuming this was all some weird publicity stunt and that Wayne's going to come back with some amazing thing, you know, and starting to realise that's not the case. It's real, you know, my hands are fucked. So what am I going to do? Be a talking head on a camera for the rest of my life? Possible. But yeah, so I think people are starting to realise that this is not, I'm not fucking around here. This is not a joke. I am desperately trying to find ways to make money. And I have, without naming names, called out some people who insisted on putting me in a pigeonhole that I never wanted or requested. And as they put me in a pigeonhole 27 years ago, even though I've done a million things all over the 3D industry, it's easy to say what I haven't done. Apparently, none of that counts because I'm still the sculpting guy. That seems to me that's a them problem, not a me problem. Anyway, so this is the end of this one. Is it number 20? Is it 21? I can't remember. I don't know which one it is. It's been a busy couple of weeks. But yeah, I will try and get some sort of a short video of that comic. I don't know how interesting it is to anybody outside of Concert in the Turf, but it's more to say, look, I have done a thing, right? And watch the other video as well. You might as well. What are you going to lose? Some nice chilled out music while you're working. Right. I'm Wayne Robson. This has been Life After 3D, episode. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.